Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Dr. Val here. Welcome to Coffee Chats. Today, I want to talk about fats. One of my top 5 recommendations is to increase good fats in your diet. Well, why? Why does fat matter so much? And why is it so important that you're eating good sources of fat every day? So this is a little bit of a book review for a book that there's a lot of really actually good books out there on fats and what types you should be eating. This is just one I have on my shelf. But Dr. Mark Hyman wrote the book Eat Fat, Get Thin. And what I like about this particular book, it's really easy to read. It does have really good breakdowns on the different types of fat and how to incorporate them into your diet and why they are, just the science behind it. I appreciate the study that he just lays it out, and it's really easy to read. So I have my bulletproof coffee. Bulletproof coffee means it's coffee that has a lot of good fats in it. And there's actually a company called Bulletproof that where this name came from and how it became popular was taking good fat and you mix it into your coffee and you drink that every day. And it became known as Bulletproof. So this is not the official brand Bulletproof. I don't have their particular, sorry. Just a wake up call there. I don't have their particular brand of MCT oils and things in my coffee. But there are ways that I make mine that have a combination of different oils. So good oils are super, super important. Your body, your brain especially, needs those good oils. Your hormones need those oils. Every cell in your body, the membrane of that cell is made up basically of a fat. It's a particular type of fat, which is the same as a polyunsaturated fat in your diets. And not just your cell membrane, but your mitochondria membrane. Inside every cell, there are lots of mitochondria. And the mitochondria are like they're organelles, but think of them as their own little pockets. And it has not just one membrane, but it's a double membrane inside that. And that's where all of your energy production is coming from. So if you're not consuming the right kind of fats, the repair and the ability to make more membrane and make it healthy diminishes greatly. Okay, and we're talking about every cell in your body, the trillions of cells in your body. You absolutely need good fats in your diet. In the past 30, 40, probably 40 years, we've had quite the cultural lie on fat, and it's been really demonized that fat is horrible and everything now, low fat, no fat, fat free. In the food industry, that became big marketing, and we believed that saturated fats were horrible for us and no saturated fats. It raises risk of heart disease. And now we know that's exactly the opposite. Dietary saturated fats do not raise your blood saturated fat because there's a lot of processing that goes on and things are getting pulled from different pathways. So we now know that that's not true. But good fats in your diet actually block a lot of your appetite pathways. It actually decreases your appetite, which leaves you fuller. So, when we took fat out of many, many, many foods, what got replaced, it got replaced with sugars or sugar alternatives. And that really has driven this diabetes and obesity epidemic in our culture because we took all these healthy fats and now, whole milk is bad, skim milk is better. And we basically replaced a lot of our food fats with sugars that are driving our appetites up more because your body burns that and there's nothing to stop some of these inflammatory pathways, and it actually makes you hungrier when you do that. There's a lot of studies which I appreciate that Dr. Mark Hyman mentions in this book about the data on what a diet that's high in dietary fats does. And not only, I mentioned appetite, it lowers your appetite. It actually it decreases your inflammatory markers around the cell. So it's actually lowering inflammation. It helps healing of the gut lining. It helps healing in the brain. It helps inflammation to go down in those areas in particular. It promotes weight loss. That just increasing your dietary fats actually reduces your body's weight. It increases your body's ability to actually use its own fats. And anyway, there's so much information out there. But what I really appreciate that he goes through in this book is the different types of fats and where you get them in their diet. And one thing that we have found is that, and this is true of just about anything, when you take something in isolation, like, oh, omega-3s are good, so you should be taking, 8,000 milligrams of fish oil a day, which is actually not the best, because most of the fish oils are rancid when they extract it. The processing, it actually destroys a lot of that. But we know that when you bulk up on one particular kind of fat, it throws all this stuff out of balance. We now know, you have to have an omega-3 level here, but it needs to be in a certain ratio of omega-6, because a while back, omega-6 are horrible, you just need omega-3. That's not true. When you take something out of balance and you take away the ratios, you actually create far worse damage in the body than what you would have had you not messed with it. So, oops, just having problems keeping this setting there. Sorry. So you can't just drive up one type of fats. When you're eating like the whole fish, not extracted omega-3s, but when you're eating a whole fish, like a good wild-caught salmon, you're getting some omega-6s and omega-3s, but they stay in this ratio that your body absolutely needs. If you take omega-3s and they're way, way, way up here, you actually drive some processes in the body the wrong way. And so taking things in isolation is always a bad idea. So your first goal in getting good fats into your diet is to do it through whole foods. There's a lot of nuts and seeds that are very high in really good fats. But when you're getting it in the whole food, you're getting all these other enzymes, you're getting things that go along with it. So even the ones that are considered, well, this one has some of this bad fat, but all the ratios and everything that works together, it's good for your body, and your body knows what to do with that. When you start taking any supplements in isolation, that's not always the best thing. And you need to know why you're doing what you're doing. And that holds true of any supplement. If you're just mega dosing on one thing, that's not really the best way to solve the problem. Our problem is you need a better rounded dietary scope in what you're eating. It needs to encompass more things. But so one type of fat, you can't just say, well, I get all my fat from coconut oil. Coconut oil is good, right? It's been touted recently. It's so great, and it is. But if that's the only kind of fat you get, you're missing out on all of these other good types of fat, because there's 4 different kinds of fat, and within those, there's many other different branches of fats, and they all kind of come from different sources. One of the things that I appreciate that he mentions this is like your, now I'm not going to be able to find it. When you're eating conventionally raised meat, you're getting a specific kind of fat from meats, okay? And let's see, I won't be able to find it. I didn't mark it. But when you are, the balance is really off. And I had read this, but he had the specific names. When you're eating pasture raised meat, grass fed beef, pasture raised, your profile of the fats that are in those meats changes drastically. So you get, the conventionally raised meat has much higher ratios of really bad fats, whereas pasture raised meat, it's not inflammatory. It has much higher rates of really good fat. So it really does make a difference. That's true of all the animal products, any of the dairy, eggs, chicken eggs, what were they raised on? Are they being supplemented corn and wheat that's GMO, that's covered in glyphosate, that's very inflammatory to them, because whatever you're eating downstream of them, that makes a really big difference to the benefit that you're getting out of it. So that's really, really, really important when you consider that. But beyond that, nuts and seeds are a huge area of incorporating good fats. So I'll just mention my Bulletproof coffee is a mixture of grass-fed butter and coconut oil, which coconut oil has lauric acid in it, which is really beneficial, but it's different from the animal, the butter, an animal product, which is different from avocado oil. Those are three sources that you should try that cover some of the different groups that you should try to get in your diet. There's a kind of a rule of thumb, the 2-2-2 rule in terms of fats. 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of avocado oil, 2 tablespoons of grass-fed butter or ghee. If you are getting those in your diet every day, whether you're cooking with them, whether you're adding them to different things, whether you're, spreading your whatever roll, coconut tortilla roll, whatever you're using, you add those fats to it. That is how much good fats you should be having in your diet, that your body needs to be able to maintain good processing, good cellular repair. It does inhibit your appetite, so it actually improves your ability to break down your own body's fats. So that's kind of a general rule, but you're getting it from 3 different sources. Those are 3 different types of fats, different classifications. They have very different profiles of what they're doing in the body. And that's one thing that this book goes into, is what are those different types of fats and where are they being used and how do you get them from your diet? But a lot of the nuts and seeds, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, pecans, they all have a different oil profile. When you're eating nuts, you should always look for raw, unroasted nuts, because the roasted ones will often be heated to a temperature that starts to distort and break down the oils to make them rancid. Then they become inflammatory. Okay, so you want to stay away from roasted nuts as a source of oil. You want the raw nuts. So just something to think about. But as a general rule of thumb, do the 2-2-2 rule, different sources of oils. I use avocado oil for almost all of my cooking and baking, sauteing, because it has an extremely high heat point. So I use it to do anything in a skillet. I will use avocado oil. When I make scrambled eggs or something for my son, throw in all this avocado oil, cook my eggs, and you have lots of oil in that. Don't be afraid to don't skimp on that. I stopped using butter when I'm sauteing things, just because it does have a much lower smoke heat point. So you don't want to start turning those oils into the more inflammatory, rancid form when you do that. Avocado oil is great. Not everybody likes the coconut oil flavor. I don't think it tastes like coconut, but some people have a real strong sensor, like they can taste the difference. So I only use that for other specific things when I'm cooking for other people. I don't mind it at all, which is why I drink it every day. Avocado oil or a good, clean extra virgin olive oil, which many of the ones in the store bought are actually cut with other oils like canola oil. They're basically watered down. They have other things mixed in with them. So you're not getting 100% extra virgin olive oil. There's research out there that much of the stuff that you are eating is crap. But there are some good brands out there. Do some research on that. But extra virgin olive oil is great, not for cooking at all, but on top of your salad. I'll use avocado oil too. Drizzle on top of your salad, drizzle on top of veggies, drizzle on top of a dip. You can use that, but it has to be a good quality extra virgin olive oil. But again, that's a plant-based. Olives have a different profile than like avocado oil. They have a little bit different profile in terms of the fats that are in them. Your body uses them differently. So there's a ton of benefits out there, and there's a ton of science out there. So the food industry is always the last to jump onto the actual science of things and go against what the culture out there is demanding. And it's been drilled into us that fat is bad, and that's not the case. You need good fats, and you need it every single day. So don't take all the fat out of your diet. In fact, increase it, but it has to be the right kinds. Be wary of conventionally raised butter or milk products. I mean, that goes for everything. Cheeses, because the fat profile, again, is way messed up when you are talking about conventionally raised meat and all of their products. I mean, conventionally raised animals, all of their products downstream are going to have this really out of balance fat profile in the meat, in the dairy, in the cheese, in the milk. Everything downstream from that animal has a very, that fat ratio and profile looks very different if it's a healthy pasture raised free range, animal versus if it's conventionally raised on very inflammatory grains and foods. So just something to look at. And if you want to know more about fats, this is a really good book. There's several people. Dr. Josh Axe has one about fats, and I can't think of what the name of his book is off the top of my head. I do have it. But this one does show a lot of the sciencey stuff and the studies, which I really enjoy, but it's well written and it's easy to read. It's Dr. Mark Hyman's Eat Fat, Get Thin. So it does have a lot of the studies and the science, and of course there's recipes in there, but whatever you're doing, swap out your bad fats for good fats. Get rid of the canola, get rid of the vegetable oils. Those are the worst. And switch to good fats. 2-2-2 rule. All right. Have a great day.